Hey, I'm the editor. After editing these videos, I kind of came into this dilemma about myself. I'm like, who am I? Am I a nerd? Who am I? Yeah, so these videos help me to these videos help me to accept my nerdiness, sort of. I don't know. Maybe I'm a nerd, maybe I'm not a nerd. But I had this conversation with some coworkers of mine at work. We were talking about nerdiness. First off, what is a nerd? Well, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, it is a foolish or contemptible person who lacks social skills and is boringly studious. Studious. My coworkers, they were talking about magic and they're talking about plus points or whatever, getting this item, blah 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 blah. And I have no idea what they're talking about. Actually, I think they were actually talking about Dungeons and Dragons, which I don't know how that works either. How is that instinctively nerdy? Well, let me tell you. According to my coworker, Dungeons and Dragons involves a lot of rules that you must study. And according to them, they would know exactly what page it would be on. So like, these rules, blah blah, would be on a certain page, and they would know what page. That's ridiculous. It comes from a lot of study, maybe too much study. But isn't there a lot of jobs like that? You have to study in order to be good at your job, like a lawyer, a lot of laws that you have to be aware of, rules, of doctor, symptoms that you would be able to diagnose the problem. I mean, it's not instinctively nerdy, perhaps, but I think I'm starting to get a hint of what a nerd is. But the nerd that they're trying to pinpoint seems to be this niche kind of demographic. They read comics, they play WoW, they play Magic. All their life is in this world. They were telling me that there are like three classes of nerds. The first class, beta nerd. A beta nerd is like a nerd that wears these t-shirts without ironing. Basically, they wear their nerdiness on their sleeve. So, just like I was describing earlier, they wouldn't wear that Nintendo controller or a Pokemon t-shirt, and it's evident that they're nerdy. They're okay with their nerdy. They're comfortable with their nerdiness. Now, the alpha nerd, on the other hand, he would be essentially a closet nerd. He would appear to be cool, but has nerd tendencies. So, in the case of my coworker, when he was in high school, I kid you not, he mocked nerds, and now he's comfortable with his nerds. But before he was a closet nerd, and then I guess he came out of the proverbial nerd closet, It's horrible. It's a horrible joke. Then there's the gamma nerd. The gamma nerd is, in the words of my coworker, disgusting, giving up hope, and you're socially awkward. Pretty much this one guy that I'm sure you can think of. The steps to entering nerddom. First, you've got to enter the nerd forest. That's where I guess you're fawning as you're growing up as a nerd, and you're like a newbie or nub or whatever you call it. My coworker described himself as an omega nerd. I'm assuming he's a mature kind of nerd in the stages of nerddom. Despite all these classes of nerds and its hilarity, we can't always divide up the world into things so simply. Sometimes it's just there's no boundaries that we can just define. Sometimes the line is so blurry, like I was saying, are you a nerd? Are you a nerd? Are you a nerd? I don't know. Like, maybe you have some nerd tendencies, but does that mean you're not? Maybe you play video games, maybe you study, but does that necessarily make you a nerd? Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? Yeah. Hi, my name is Joseph Lee, and I'm a nerd. I'm an alcoholic.